here, but a couple of nerfs come in the way of the Lucio Kiriko backline, so that could shake things up a little bit, especially here on Control, where we do typically have a little bit more kind of mobility-focused backline. So we'll have Ireland starting out on the green side here, Norway on the red. So again, this is a scrim code, so these players are going to be able to add time, try and figure things out, because this is all about really trying to nail down some of your compositions, preparing for that end of the month. I think it is worth noting that these teams are in different groups, so they won't be facing off against each other in that online qualifiers immediately, with Ireland in the group C, and then Norway going to be in group B. So I think very wise of them to get some scrim time in against each other here.
Yeah, it's going to help you work out what is going on. We see the Cat Bastion here for Norway. Ryan coming in as a very flexible player, and we see Cynex on the other side as well. Is going to be able to help out with no pure Irish here for the moment. Cynex, a very flexible player in his own right. And these two teams looking to play pretty much the same composition. We've seen the Reaper that was around for the Conference Cup just come into more and more of his own recently, but time does favor the Tracer where it's available, so not too much of a surprise to see that there. And a little bit of a difference in that other support. The Kiriko on one side is going to be able to get a little bit further away from the amount of damage that's going to be coming in and the pressure coming in from the Mauga. But Nexi on the other side is going to be sort of a sitting target and doing what you can before being taken out, potentially, as a lot of the pressure is going to be there onto the Ana.
Yeah, so true. The utility really needs to come through for Nexty here to get the value on this Ana. Already we can see Ireland getting themselves set up. They're ready to go with this Jetpack Cat Bastion. On the other side, though, Norway with the exact same plan here. They don't have the positional advantage just yet, but I expect some dogfights.
Yeah, immediately you can see that Ana just a sitting target, not able to get away, and that is going to help out Team Ireland here, knowing that that Mauga is going to have a little bit more sustain as Team Norway tried to posture towards the objective. Jesper Swag being taken down. Surely Isaac follows here, just about survives on a pixel of HP. Time wisely getting away, but Lewin has to have some help to get away here as well.
Yes, always have to have a lot of synergy between the main support and your Bastion here. I think that is going to be something that's going to really come into play as we see these teams go up with these mirror compositions. Nexty is still sticking on this Ana, though, so still aware that he is going to be a target here, so we'll see what Norway can do to try and set this Ana up.
Yeah, you can't do anything when the Ana's gone. Now it's going to be a turret versus turret, and just about surviving there is Snowdrop, but taken down immediately by time. And on the Tracer as well, it's very, very critical in this composition to be able to get that damage in and make sure you can finish off those targets when needed. You said about synergy as well. That has been all this Team Ireland team has been about, considering that they play with each other on a regular level in Faceit as well. Time the only player that is not on that team that they usually go about with, but Norway coming in with a couple of ultimates here, both support ults on the board for Team Ireland. A cage invested, but immediately Isaac finds himself dead in the cage. Cynex getting one before being taken down by Snowdrop from above. Time now trying to even out the deficit on the Tracer, just about gets down, and we saw how valuable this Tracer player was to Team Ireland over the course of the Conference Cup, and coming back in here in this scrim to a high standard.
Yeah, fantastic follow-up here from Time on this Tracer. I think Cynics on this Mauga is doing such a great job controlling the space as well. Not on that Kiriko, showing why Kiriko is still very much viable in this meta here. And now, approaching 90% here, Ireland's going to push forward, take space. They don't even want to touch to come through here for Norway.
Immediately, you can see the artillery form invested from Snowdrop, but they're on the other side as well, and Cynex has a cage just to trap Jesper Swag in, just about not able to get the kill with that Death Blossom. Moon's just sleeping in the air, sleeping on the job, but it's not going to matter too much. Nano goes on to Snowdrop, but nothing that the Bastion can do. Just a little bit of a give up and give it over to Team Ireland. Obviously, with it being a scrim code, we will be heading to all three maps as Reinstrike just can't get underneath that little barrier. The rest of the team isn't going to be able to get back. And the first objective does fall to Team Ireland.
And looking pretty dominant here on Icebreaker, 100% to 0. Very, very good start for the team in green. And I am liking, I mean, mentioned it earlier, you mentioned it as well. The synergy between this team is just so impressive. Snowdrop, yes, potentially a little DC coming through there, but just a quick glance at the stats there. And yeah, Time really putting in the work on that Tracer. Not a single death through the entirety of that sub map. So fantastic start here from Ireland. They got to be feeling pretty good about that one. I feel like a lot of people can say that they've kind of been the underdog team that's kind of come up through that Conference Cup. You mentioned they had some really tough matches through that. So excited to see them putting on such a fantastic performance so far.
Yeah, having been with them for the entire time that they were at the Conference Cup, seeing them get both of those wins over Austria and even take a map off of Germany, the only team to do it in official circumstances so far, was just a really high standard set by the Irish. And you can see 100-0 on this first objective, picking up exactly where they left off. Team Norway, got to make sure that you're not downhearted by that. You still got two maps to be able, well, two sub-maps to be able to go here on Antarctic Peninsula. And we will play all three. With it being a Scrim code, you're not going to see just the two here. So Ireland have the opportunity to take the map, but it won't end with a capture of this second objective. But I think realistically, Time being on this Tracer and being so good on it really helps to set a standard. Most of the time when you're playing this Cat Bastion, you are forcing players into the clutches of your tank and your Tracer. You're forcing them back away so that you can set the precedent, set them moving back in the wrong direction, force them to hide, and just have your Tracer player go in and finish off those kills that have already been taken down low by the Bastion in the turret form, flying above them. That's exactly what you want to see from your Tracer, and that's exactly what you had from Time. And running the Reaper on the other side, yes, you have the ability to be a little bit more of a 1-2 punch with your Malga, but you could see that they weren't really able to get onto the Kiriko and force all of those cooldowns, force the TP away. And even if they got a kill there, you don't have the ability to get out of there as much on the Malga and the Reaper. And at the end of the day, when your Ana's gone on the other side, there's not the sustainability there to keep your tank alive. And it looked like Isaac was having just a little bit too rough of a time on the Malga compared to Cynex on the other side.
And I think a lot of that came down to we were seeing the Ana get picked up for Norway first in a lot of those engagements. And that really is kind of speaking to Time on this Tracer, always able to get set up. And where you're running the Jetpack Cat with that Ana, it's not really as much peel potential, especially where the Jetpack Cat is usually preoccupied with the Bastion in some other corner of the map here. So we saw a lot of the first limbs going on to Nexty there. And I think that if you had the opportunity to get that Ana set up in a safe spot, you would get a lot more value with that kind of Malga Reaper, that 1-2 punch that you were mentioning, where you do have that anti-nade to go in. Even if you can just use it to force out the Suzu from the other side, it can still be really beneficial. But I think especially on Icebreaker, there's not really a whole lot of high ground for the Ana to kind of get set up on that isn't accessible for that Tracer. So a little bit of a tricky situation there for Norway for the composition that they want to be running. But I think that as we move into the other sub points of Antarctic Peninsula, might be more of an opportunity to have your Ana set up in a bit more of a safe position, but you still got to be really careful because Time has, absolutely been popping off on this Tracer, so you're going to have somebody keeping an eye on Nexty, making sure your Ana isn't the first one to fall in each fight.
Absolutely, and this is how this composition plays into the quote-unquote mirror on the other side. Yes, they're not running exactly the same things, but you see a lot of pressure put onto the flex support. Like you said, that Cat isn't going to be there to peel for the other support in most of those situations. You're not going to be able to get help there, so you are sort of a sitting duck. And it's more about what you can do and how long you can survive in the first place. You have a bit more sustainability to yourself on the Kiriko to be able to TP around, but you can't interact as much with the Bastion versus Bastion duel in the sky. So that's why the Ana is favored in most situations, but we have seen both looks come out from different teams over the course of games. In Korea, for example, where this composition has been running over everyone and wiping the floor as well in a lot of different situations. It does help that some teams like Zeta have Shu who is an incredible Ana player, to be able to play that. But you have these situations where that support is often stranded on their own and is going to die. It's just how much you can impact the fight before you go down. And we've seen that Nexty hasn't really had the opportunity to do too much before being taken out by the Cat Bastion, or, like you said, Time, who's just been going in and cleaning up those kills, cleaning house exactly when needed, and that is exactly what you want of your Tracer player.
Yeah, we'll have to see if there's any swaps that come through here for the side of Norway. I don't suspect that Ireland's going to make too many changes. 100% to 0 is a pretty good start for them. I don't think they're feeling too much pressure right now. But I think that, especially in these kind of scrim situations, finding some comp swaps is going to be very, very helpful. Testing out kind of what is going to be your strength here, because when you get into those real matches, you really need to have all of the opportunities to come back with a composition that's going to work best for you against your opponent. So we might see something come through here for Norway. I think that as we move into these the sub maps, I'm thinking sub-level, which I think actually might have a new name now, Anomaly, where you can get frozen in the ceiling, and then the Eco Point, the labs as well. Looks like we will be heading into labs right now, but I think that there is a little bit more kind of sightlines for your Ana to work with, where you can have her set back a little bit further, and it looks like Nut maybe thinking the same thing as well. We are going to see the Kiriko get dropped here, not over on to this Ana, and we actually are going to be on Anomaly here, so gotta be very careful of that roof. If you're the Jetpack Cat, could get frozen in place. Now it's going to be a fight for this high ground. Each team wants to be able to get their support set up there.
Absolutely, and it's not something you see as much from Nut, but the ability to play it is absolutely there. And just trying to get some damage in. You can see Psycho in for Snowdrop after that DC. Not going to be changing too much, and here is what helps with that Reaper. The ability to just invest in fully and take that down, but it is a trade out of both of the Anas. Exactly what you expect from these two compositions. Now Jesper Swag trying to get more involved on that Reaper. Time not being able to do quite as much, and it is going to be Psycho who gets the better of Lewin on this objective. It falls into the hands of Team Ireland, but it shouldn't be that way for too much longer.
Worth mentioning as well, yeah, Psycho has come in for Snowdrop there, so the DC is still in effect here. Time gonna find that kill onto Jesper Swag though, so it doesn't look like it's gonna be easy for Norway to come back into this fight.
Yeah, you can see Psycho taking down Cynex though. That Bastion, the turret form ringing out over the objective. Yes, Lewin's able to take down Ryan, but the rest of the team is going to stand tall and be able to take this objective off of the hands of Ireland. GCB slowing it down for as long as possible with the full 5 back in action for Team Norway. It's going to be their first objective capture of Antarctic Peninsula.
All right, yeah, some percentage building here for Norway. They are going to have that nano coming online, Psycho with the artillery strike as well. But Ireland have some ults building up as well. They play a little slower here, and that's going to be able to build up to this nano. And I think that you are probably going to need that to try and break into this point, because that high ground control for Norway going to be very much in effect right now.
Cardiac Overdrive invested from Cynex, but still going down low here. Lewin now trying to put some pressure onto Psycho in the backline, and that Cat Bastion just stretching a little bit too far. Lewin able to take the full advantage. Yes, Isaac has been able to get some damage off in the meantime. Cardiac Overdrive investing, takes down Lewin as well. They've got to be careful to take down this Malga before the rest of the team falls. Time and GCB able to stabilize now, but the rest of the team's coming back in here. Bastion Cat, who fell early on that previous fight, are going to be in as well. Jesper Swag coming in with that Death Blossom, could be able to take out Cynex, but it's a beautiful stop. Not too much to be able to do though. Time's been able to get the Pulse Bomb onto Nexty, but it looks like the rest of the team isn't going to be able to follow up on that action. Turret form engaged for Lewin, but it's not going to be enough. Falls back into Norway's hands. They seem a little bit more at home in the ice.
I mean, it looked like a fantastic opening there for Norway. I love them going aggressively with the nano first, even though they didn't get the nano online first. The nano onto the Bastion, Lula just mowing everyone down, but then Norway comes back. They have the nano advantage, and now Norway very much in control of not only the point, but the ult economy as well. Jesper Swag and Isaac going to have that blender combo coming online here, but might just be a target onto the tank because everybody's pretty spread out.
it doesn't matter if you don't have the ultimates, if Lewin can take down 2 immediately. The Blender invested to just stabilize here for Team Norway, and it looks like they're going to be able to hold on to the objective. You can see Not as well deciding that the pressure was too much on the Ana and switching over to the Kiri.
Yeah, I like the Kiri swap here. I think that, yeah, having access to this high ground is going to help Ireland a whole lot here. But Norway approaching that 90%. There's going to be one more fight here for Ireland to try and claim this sub-map back. Norway looking to get their first point on the board here on Antarctic.
Lewin waiting a little bit longer to invest that turret form and has the ability to go for those grenades as well. Time getting the better of the flex DPS on the other side. Jesper Swag going down, and a good Suzu there from Nut to make sure that Cynex doesn't fall in turn. It is going to be a sweep up of the objective, but as it's on 99% for Norway, you can't allow any other mistakes here for Team Ireland. But look at where Nexy's going.
We staggering scrims. Yeah. Oh,
it takes down GCB though.
Nexy just cannot be counted out here, but GCB is going to get back into this fight a lot quicker, but I think that not having the Ana in the fight is going to be much more detrimental for Norway compared to Ireland not having that jetpack cat, so it is going to be a bit of a disengage here in Norway. They're going to trigger the overtime just in time. It's going to be a brawl on the point to pick up this point.
That Nano's so close as well for Nexy, able to get back into the fight, but are you going to be able to invest it in time? You can see solo Jesper Swag and 2 quick kills, 3 following for Ireland. It's all going in their favor now. Time just being able to whittle it down. Eventually, after what was a closer second map than the first, does fall to Team Ireland, but we are going to see the third and final objective as well here on this Scrim code.
Yeah, fantastic bounce back here from Norway. They don't pick up the point, but like you mentioned, way closer here for them, and sticking on that same composition as well. They kept Nexy on the Ana. They've made some adjustments to their positioning, and I think that they did a much better job of trying to just kind of avoid time on that Tracer. But really, that comes into the overtime. It's so hard to keep track of that Tracer, so it's just kind of a cleanup coming through there for Ireland. Fantastic showing from them, and I think that synergy really does shine through in those overtime moments. So nice to see them kind of clutch that out as we will head into this third point. Scrim rules, of course, as we can see. A little bit of swapping around happening here. Nexty, yeah, unfortunately, still definitely a target here in this composition, but I do think that some nice adjustments to be able to live a little bit longer and get a little bit more use out of that utility. The nanos especially, I think, really did help Norway open things up.
Yeah, I think the main difference, and as we see time just come back in, has been that Tracer over the Reaper. The Reaper form of this composition, it does well to do damage in chunks, but where time's just been able to go through and take down anyone needed, realistically, been able to get into those spaces that the team goes crawling back into with that Bastion form engaged, it hasn't quite been enough for them to get back in on the Reaper composition. Yeah, you saw it work a little bit better on the second objective, but still not quite enough to get them across the line. You can see the Wrecking Ball now coming up from Cynex. Another one of these little bit of switches around that could potentially be there, but no, switches straight back to the Malga. And there's a few different modes that you can play this Jetpack Cat with.
Yep, that's exactly it. You know, as long as you have a tank that's kind of the self-sufficient, you don't need as many resources from those supports, you can really kind of work well with this Jetpack Cat. So we are going to see, yeah, same compositions here. Nut is going to move back over onto the Ana as well as we head into labs here. So we'll see if he's going to stick on that one, maybe make a move back over onto the Kiriko Norway. Going to be pushing into Ireland, who have set themselves up on the high ground here, so it's a good advantage for Ireland to have, as the point will be unlocking soon, so somebody's going to have to get their feet on it.
Yeah, and immediately Lewin getting the better of the opposing Bastion, and you can already see Nexy in the sights of time, but it's going to be the Jetpack Cat going down after the Bastion does fall. The rest of the team just a little bit too much, and not holding his own as well, taking down Jesper under the pressure. So nice job there by Team Ireland to start off here once again.
Yep, gonna get percentage building here for them, and they'll be able to get themselves set up kind of around this high ground. Not going to be safer on this on the defense compared to NXT having to push in on the attack here. And yeah, still having Jesper Swag over on this Reaper. Norway, the onus is really on them to push forward and really try and take down one of these backlines.
Fluid now going inside, you're so low, not quite able to get round the corner. Ryan not finding it. And once again, Nexty going down early on in these fights. The Arno just has not had time to breathe under the pressure of Time and Lewin. These two DPS working so well together. Ryan's just not able to get away. Cynex finding Isaac as well. It just seems like this mirrored-ish composition is not working out as well for Norway as they would like.
No, and it's just so hard because with this Reaper and Malga comp, you really want to be going for that kind of hard engage, to get the timing down between that stomp and then the TP in from the Reaper. But really, there's so much mobility on the side of Ireland, save for Cinex and Nut, that you really have very limited options in terms of who is going to be your target for that engage. And to make matters even worse, Ireland is going first in so many of these fights, finding out Norway as they're going for these rotations to get set up. The Reaper just has to clear so much space to be viable in these compositions, and fortunately for Norway, they're just not able to clear that space before losing somebody themselves.
Crucially as well, you can see that Lewin's being patient on those artillery, or not the artillery forms, the turret forms in the skies. You can see that they're just being popped slightly sooner by Psycho on the other side, which is good to get that initial burst of damage, but when it runs out, you're just not going to have the advantage in the battle for the skies. And we saw that in that last fight as well. Ryan just trying to get that Bastion out to a safe space, trying to make sure that that turret form does elapse before re-engaging with that Jetpack Cat Bastion on the other side, but not to be the case. They do have a bit of an opportunity to get back in here, unfortunately, due to Time DCing once more. So not as much pressure is going to be on Nexty, at least in the opening stages of this next engagement, which should be nice for the Arna player, who has been playing a little bit of Spawn Doors Simulator. And it's a testament to the way Ireland's been playing so far, because it's the precedent that they've been setting. The amount of pressure that they've been able to get onto the Arna has just been too much for Team Norway to deal with so far.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of it is coming down to, you kind of mentioned it, it's the timing of these cooldowns. It's time joined back. Yeah, we needed that. It does come down to a lot of the timing of these cooldown usages. So you're mentioning that Ireland is being more patient with this Bastion turret form. And when you come into these mirror compositions, or mostly mirror compositions, that is where you're really going to get the upper hand, is if you can kind of play second in these fights, you're going to be able to come out on top most of the time. But what Ireland is also really doing well is they're playing faster, so they're really forcing Norway to kind of react to everything that Ireland is doing. So as soon as Norway goes for one of these rotations, it's just the pressure alone from the angles caused by this Tracer from Time and then the Jetpack Cat Bastion in the sky that you just don't have enough kind of cooldowns to look every way if you're Norway, and it does end up either getting picked off or having to force out a cooldown yourself. The Bastion turret form, once it's gone, you just don't really have that same level of damage that can be put through. You do have the Reaper, but again, like I mentioned, you gotta cover the space. Dire Triggers, that's only one kind of tool in the kit of the Reaper, and you really do need a little bit more to be able to secure a lot of these kills. So we'll see. Norway, I suspect they're going to stick on this composition. They're trying to run with it. They're probably limit testing a little bit here, because if they were going to swap, I suspect we probably would have seen it earlier on in this map. So we'll see how they can kind of adjust this composition to work for them against what Ireland is playing. And I think a lot of it is going to come down to either making safer rotations or just trying to be a little bit quicker, try to force some things out from Ireland before you make that rotation.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, it is a scrim. You're working on getting these answers that you want from going up against a composition of the same look on the other side. Yes, it's not exactly the same, but I would say what they've been able to do with the Tracer of Time has been putting pressure onto Nexty to start off the fight. That is the first engage over the entire time. You've got both Malgas sort of occupying each other, and it takes a little bit longer for Jesper to get onto Nut, which allows Nut to engage more with that Bastion Cat Jewel. And the healing, sometimes it's been a very small amount that Lewin lives by initially, with the use of the Purr as well from GCB. But the ability for Nut to engage a little bit quicker in these situations has helped a lot. We see NRG coming in for Ireland just to be able to help out for the moment, but immediately the Bastion taken off the map, but being brought back from the dead by Ryan. Good reactions there from the Jetpack Cat, making sure that GCB did not fell. Your only friend in this composition, just for taking down Cynex as well. And this is going to be a first capture on laps for Team Norway, albeit with about 80% on the other side.
Yeah, they'll get themselves set up here. We do have NRG that has swapped in for time on the side of Ireland. And now Norway, I mean, a slate of ultimates ready to go here for them. But Ireland is building out to some really crucial ones as well. Cynics with that cage ready to go. The nano from Nut. We saw that go over onto Luan the last time. But I think that the Tracer could also be a very nice option here.
Not just under too much pressure there in the early engage. And it is, like you said, for Norway earlier on, a little bit more difficult to engage and fight forwards here than be the honor on the defensive side. Lewin just trying to do a little bit of damage, but GCB decides it's a lost cause. Tries to get away, but maybe doesn't even have the fuel to get away from Isaac here.
Ooh, manages to get out of the sliver of HP. One of those 9 lives used there by GCB, and Norway, fantastic job for them on this defense. Another early pick for them. They haven't had to commit any ultimates right now. They're doing a great job just controlling the space, making sure that Nexty isn't having too much pressure on him. And now this is on Norway to really try and build up as much of this percentage for the point as they can, because Ireland at 78% probably only need one more fight win to take this map.
Down so low, but able to invest that artillery form with the perk. The overhealth is going to make sure that that Bastion does stay alive, but this is a difficult situation of trying to get this cat in. Both of these ultimates by the Malgas invested, but at the end of the day, Norway just have the better situation and still sit here with a nano that is going to be mirrored on the other side. It is just a question of whether NRG can do something with this pulse bomb as Cynex switches over to the wrecking ball to try and get a touch in.
Yeah, what a smart interaction from Isaac, using the cage to counteract that catnap. Really love to see it. Overtime has been triggered here, so Ireland need to keep a toe on the point here, and they have to be aware of a nano bastion in the sky.
Both of the nanos have been invested onto these bastions, but it's a great sleep by Nexty, and this could be everything for Team Norway, just to at least get some momentum back going into the rest of the scrim. NRG falling as well after not finding anything with the ultimate. The cat goes flying. I mean, it does fly at the best of times, but not in the situation that you would want there. The rest of the team failed in one fell swoop, and Team Norway are going to be able to take that final objective there. So at least something for Team Norway to have in the back pocket, and a little bit of a better situation there, as you could see that they really looked a lot more comfortable when they had that point under their control already to set up and take Ireland down when they were trying to progress towards the objective.
Yeah, feels pretty good when you don't have to make the rotations. You can really just kind of dig in your heels and push forward when needed. I like that tempo from Norway coming through at the end when they're in control. You know, pushing a little bit into the spawn of Ireland, but not going so far that Nexty wasn't able to have the LOS to keep everybody alive and well. So, really like that from them. They will get, 1 point off here. That map is going to go to Ireland, of course, though. So we'll keep the score over for Ireland 1-0 right now. But I think that this has been kind of good for Norway to warm up a little bit. I think they really kind of found their groove with that Ana composition. So we'll have to see what they're going to opt to take us to. I believe that they're going to be in control of the map pick. So we'll have to see if they opt for something where they're going to be able to kind of continue rolling with this Ana composition, or if they want to swap things up and try and force something a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, you have the ability to here in the scrim controls, so a little bit of a warm-up in the cold as we heat things up here for this second map. Team Ireland will be looking to continue what the first 2 points look like, and especially that icebreaker ship on that first objective, that 100-0, really going to be sticking in their minds as long as possible. Yeah, you do have the issue of you didn't quite find everything that you wanted to on that third and final map type, but Lewin has been singing on that Bastion for quite a while. I would be surprised if they decide to switch over from that to something else, but it depends on the map type, and it depends what the bans are going to be here as well. As Norway going in for this next pick is going to be New Queen Street. Better push maps here for that Cap Bastion. You'd say that East Barant's are probably the best one on the board, so maybe going into something else. And I said warming up in the cold, we're going to be staying there as we head over to Canada and Toronto.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if we're probably going to get more Jetpack Cap Bastion, but you mentioned that, there's going to be hero bans that are coming through as well, so I'm assuming that we're following kind of the same ban rules as always, so these teams will not be able to ban out the same hero they banned out on first point, so Norway won't be able to take the Sim off the board, and Ireland will not be able to take the Yari off the board, and before we kind of went live, you and I were kind of mentioning that sometimes the response to the Jetpack Cap Bastion is to go for hit scans here. So with the Yari back on the board, potentially an option for countering out that Jetpack Cap. But of course, she did get hit with a bit of a nerf here in the mid-season patch. So we'll have to see what these teams opt to go for ban-wise on New Queen Street. Lots of long sight lines here to work with.
Yeah, and the other thing that you're going to be looking at in the scrim here is going to be the staying power of these two teams. Ireland obviously having gone through a more competitive environment to get to the conference group tournament after the conference cup, because that was only first 2-2s, the only time you really had to go to 3 maps was in situations where it was a bit more even, but the staying power is going to be a little bit different going into the next group. I believe there's not a confirmation yet as to what the format's going to be in terms of what it's going to be first to, but there's still situations that are going to help here, and you can see these different picks. The Reaper isn't going to be available, which Jesper did seem to be a lot more comfortable on labs than the previous 2 objectives, so maybe coming into its own and trying to take that momentum back away from the clutches of Norway going into push, which for a lot of the time for Team Ireland seemed to be a stalwart, at least in the Conference Cup.
Yeah, so this is good for Ireland. They're going to force Norway onto something a little bit different. Don't know that the Reaper would necessarily get massive value here on New Queen Street. Like I mentioned, it's a very long-range map. So we'll see what Norway's going to do to try and pivot off of that composition. Looking like they might actually put Jesper over on the Bastion here. Maybe have Psycho swap around a little bit, but we'll have to see. And then no Zarya in here. The Zarya maybe still has a bit of an opportunity to be played here and there. I think that we've been seeing a lot of the Mauga. I've been seeing a lot of the Hazard as well, but Zarya is still ever present, especially if you want to go for a hard brawl composition, but doesn't look like either of these teams are thinking about running that. It is still Mauga time here in Toronto.
Yeah, it looks like the more things change, the more they stay the same. And time coming back in for NRG is going to put this starting 5 that we've seen for Team Ireland on that first couple of objectives back into full swing. This Mauga going to be back in here for Cynex, and obviously you can play the Diva as well. That's going to be more pure Irish's style when pure Irish is available, but you can see the switch over to perfectly mirror both of these compositions. It's going to be a lot on Jesper and Lewin to try and get an advantage here in these fights. Both Bastion's being a little bit patient, but Lewin being taken down low before the engage with the other Bastion means that Jesper gets that advantage eventually. And Cynex with a perfect Bionade in from Nexi is going to fall as well. Norway looking a lot more comfortable here to start off New Queen Street.
All right, I mean, putting them onto the Tracer maybe was the key for Norway here. And they're going to start moving this bot forward a little bit. You can see that Psycho trying to get a read for where Ireland's going to be pathing for this next fight. But it really does feel like a lot of these opening fights, it comes down to the sky battle. Which of the Bastion Jetpack Caps are able to kind of find the other one out first. And that's usually the way that the dominoes fall.
Yeah, Lewin just not being able to get too much pressure onto Jesper, but it's going to be a trade out. GCB seeing the turret fall below, but being able to get the kill when needed. And Nexty falling as well means that Isaac can't progress quite as much to punish Cynex here. There's a lot of pressure in onto Nut, but able to survive for quite a long time, and now getting the help as well from GCB. This 2-hit combo on support, as they often are in Face It, battling back once more and able to sustain themselves enough for Team Island to get back control of the objective.
All right, good amount of progress here for Norway. They do have the cage fight ready to go for Isaac. Time with the pulse bomb. Ooh, does end up committing it. Doesn't quite find the limb, but regardless, it is going to be Ireland in control of this bot.
Something that could be very impactful as well is not being able to engage with this nano. Means that Jesper's been in the backline, but both supports do fall as well. Both the Arnas off the table as diving cage in off the back of GCB and Cynex is absolutely beautiful. The stun from the catnap enough to take down Jesper Swag, and once again TS1 is going to be moving to Ireland's rhythm.
Right, time with a nice little double at the end there, getting the cleanup done that he managed on the side of Antarctic Peninsula. So it will be the lead nearly gained here. Ireland taking down Nexty. That nano out of the fight here for Norway. They're going to be scrambling if they want to try and prevent this lead from being gained.
Absolutely, the scramble drill is going to be there. Isaac just trying to get some damage in from that shop window, but forced back away, knowing that your Arna's not there, being taken back in, but going to be an early drop-off by Reflect. Psycho having to recall in the meantime as well. Trying to get a little bit of pressure in. Time scattered out. The Tracer Duel now engaged for both of them. Cynex down low. Well, actually not down low, but having to take a little bit of cover. Jesper being able to take out one does fall, but get the better of the cat on the other side as well, and everything is going back in Norway's fashion. The pulse bomb not going to find a stick there for time as well. And forced back away is Cynex, chasing down as well is going to be Isaac, but battle of the Tracers is going to end up in a stalemate as well, and Norway take back TS1.
Managed to stop the lead from being gained by Ireland there as well. So Norway are coming into this, both DPS, also that catnap ready to go as well. Ireland just gonna have that artillery strike to work with here. Nexty most likely going to be the target of that. So we're to see if Norway can go first, try and live through this engagement.
Yeah, you don't have to waste that artillery form onto the Arna if she gets stomped on by a large Samoan man, though. Zlun finds the better of Jesper Swag as well. Cat Bastion going back into the favour of Team Ireland, and that now allows GCB to help out with the pressure that's been going on to Nut. Just about surviving is the Arna, and I've got to say GCB's been really finding some good timings to be able to help out. We say that this Arna doesn't often have the support needed, but at the moment GCB's doing absolutely what's necessary.
Yeah, so true. Nut always in the sights of GCB in some way, shape, or form. That is going to be the lead picked up by Ireland. Approaching that checkpoint as well. Norway is going to manage to come in for a contest just before it's picked up.
Nano invested onto Isaac, but can't stay in the fight. And now with that artillery form taking down Jesper, everyone falling once again for Team Ireland. It is going to be that forward spawn now engaged for the Irish.
Well, all right, time to take out Psycho there, so it is going to be Ireland continuing to move this forward. 3 ults still to work with here. Norway are going to have that cage fight and catnap available to them. It's gonna be tough to find their way into this fight, though, because Ireland already controlling so many angles.
Cynex does fall though, and it's a good start for Team Norway. Pulse bomb going wide, but Lewin absolutely shredding with that turret. The off cooldown for a little bit, which allows Isaac to re-engage with it, as they are able to take TS1 away and stop that forward spawn advantage that the Irish had. Lewin being caged as well isn't going to help matters, as this jetpack Cat Bastion on the other side should be back in time, but Reflect going down to Nut is going to switch things back into the favour of the Irish. A beautiful anti-nade as well. Psycho pays it back in time. You give me a grenade, I will give you a pulse bomb. Hold that, as Isaac is able to clean up as well. Time back in with the reinvestment, but Jesper just about able to take out the Tracer to give Norway what should be forward spawn.
Yeah, they should be able to pick this up here. Ireland are going to be coming back in with still 3 ults to work with, though. So good stuff from them to hold on to it, as it is going to be that forward spawn picked up. Norway going to go for a bit of a disengage here. They have that nano ready to go, potentially going to give that over to Jesper.
Yeah, and immediately it's invested. Jesper going down so low, even with the nano, but you're able to find the kill. Time, though, going back in, taking down Jesper after already taking Nexty out of the fight. Even without the tank presence here, they're still fighting Team Ireland. And, I mean, Isaac knows that you can't really put too much pressure in without your Ana. You don't have the sustainability that's needed just from the Jetpack Cat of Reflect. Both the Jetpack Cat and the Bastion on the side of Team Norway having the ultimates to be able to invest. And we have seen that Catnap do a lot of damage just off the back of the stun alone, which could help out here, not down low. And the cage immediately onto Psycho, trying to invest onto that Ana, but the perfect timing found by Cynex, just able to stay alive. And now with the help of the DPS, able to clean up house, clean everything up, as once again, Ireland just proving that they're able to find things out here. They do lose a few members, but time's going to be in control of the objective, and about able to get back to the middle to stop this forward spawn. Actually, no.
Okay, and Norway is going to get back in here for a recontest. Psycho has that recall forced out, and Nexty finding time here is going to be a good opportunity for Norway to push things back. Ireland is going to disengage a little bit here, wait for their Tracer to get back into the mix. Both support ults ready to go, though, for Ireland. Luan with this artillery strike as well, but Norway, they got the advantage ult-wise.
Yeah, and it's basically going to be a full 5 here for Team Norway if they want it. Psycho falling of his own accord, but, I mean, it's a rough time to be GCB. You've picked up the thing that's going to do probably as much damage as possible to you. 3 ults still on the board with a 4th on the way in terms of the nano time. Just trying to slow down things as much as possible, with the Wrecking Ball now chosen by Cynex is going to be able to put a bit more pressure in onto Nexty, but beautiful sleep by the Ana, as well as the investment of the anti-nade is going to mean that Cynex does fall. Not in the meantime has found Reflect, but here comes the cage invested by Isaac. Also has that nano invested onto the Malga, and it's just going to be too much to deal with for Team Ireland. The bot is going to push further in Team Norway's direction.
All right, good stuff from Norway. Grabbing the lead, pushing forward. They still have the Catnap, and they're going to have this artillery strike to work with here, but those DPS ults from Ireland available. Time has found multiple pulse bomb picks here, so Nexty going to be the target here. Norway need to have Psycho try and match time on this Tracer, or at least be a distraction to take some pressure off Nexty.
Yeah, Lewin just about getting the better of Jesper's flag, but immediately traded out. So no Bastion on either side for this next fight on the objective. And once again, the anti-nade coming in absolutely clutch from Nexty. You can see that the pressure not being there from time as much has allowed this Ana to shine for Team Norway.
All right, approaching the destination here, Norway. Both DPS ults and that Catnap still ready to go. Ireland just have not found the opportunity to use their DPS ults to get back into it. Now they're building up both support ults as well, though. A big advantage here for Ireland in terms of the ults. They just need to find an opening.
Yeah, but you can't use them too much as overtime is going to start to hit. The kills are still ringing out for Team Norway. Pulse Bomb invested, goes wide. Isaac able to find the kill onto Cynex as well, and it's going to be Fireworks. Both of the DPS ults used, and a full capture for Team Norway, getting back into the swing of things on New Queen Street, and tying this up at 1-1 as what looked like a close map eventually, with the staying power of Team Norway turning into something that was anything but double the amount of distance covered by the Norwegians. As 1-1, probably a fair summary of how these maps have gone so far.
Oh my gosh, they've been so close here. I really do think that, yeah, Antarctic was a good warm-up here for Norway, and they did a really good job to kind of build up some momentum on New Queen Street. It kind of looked like Ireland was going to run away with New Queen Street at the beginning, but I think nice adjustments coming through from Norway. I think especially sending Psycho to put a little bit more pressure onto time on that Tracer. We were not seeing time get the massive kind of value that we saw him get on Antarctic, and I really do think that that's because Ireland banned out the Reapers, so they forced Norway onto this kind of Tracer Bastion matchup here, and I think that that worked out very well in Norway's favor here. So excited to have such a close series on our hands. I think that this really does speak to kind of the level of talent between these two teams and just the adaptability between them. I think that it's going to be a close scrim all the way through.
Yeah, and taking out the ability of time to get into the backline really did free up Nexty in a lot of these fights. We saw the Bionades invested a lot of the time onto Cynex that weren't there on Antarctic Peninsula. The pressure that Time was able to create was just too much to handle. And as well, with Psycho being able to stop Time in his tracks, we also had the ability for the rest of the team to be able to just survive a little bit longer. Those kills that were being cleaned up by Time initially weren't being found on New Queen Street, and you could see that, especially going into the ending of that map, that those first kills were flowing in Norway's fashion a lot more often. Now it does fall back to Team Ireland, be able to pick which map we go to next, and it is going to be Suravasa. The question is, do you stick with this Malga that's been working so far pretty well for both teams? Or are we going to see the introduction of the Wrecking Ball, which we've already seen a little bit from Cynex, but not enough to warrant too much of a hassle? You would say, though, Flashpoint, Suravasa has been a Wrecking Ball's playground as much as any other map that is involved in the entire game.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think that if you're gonna play the Wrecking Ball, Suravasa would be a fantastic place to do it. And I think that it would be nice to see some of that, the interaction between the Wrecking Ball and kind of the Jetpack Cat composition, because like we were mentioning kind of in the last map, you can kind of swap in any tank that can really kind of fend for themselves into this Jetpack Cat composition. And the Wrecking Ball is a very, very good choice because not only is he kind of self-sufficient, but he also has such an immense amount of kind of CC ability and knockback that you can cause so much chaos for the other team. And if you have somebody that is as good as Tracer as Time is, you're going to be able to really capitalize on that chaos that comes through here. So Ireland will be in control, or Norway will be in control of the ban, I believe. But regardless, I think that, yeah, Norway have the opportunity here to maybe go for a tank ban. Maybe they want to try and protect this Malga if they want to keep running with it. Or they could try and just really kind of shake things up. Maybe at some point in this scrim, we're going to see either a Bastion ban or a Jetpack Cat ban.
It's going to be a Soldier ban instead, and Soldier has been creeping up there in terms of usage. A lot of theory crafting has said, you know, potentially you can bring the Soldier in. We did see that from Team Falcons the other week over in Asia as just a mobile turret to really just force that Jetpack Cat Bastion away. So maybe just making sure that that can't happen again, predicting Ireland might go over to some other form of composition and just try and deal with the Jetpack Cat in ways that aren't going with the same thing on the other side. Meanwhile, Ireland taking a little bit more time after, well, not to be a pun there, taking a bit more time. The Tracer not being banned out here from Norway as well proves that they really did feel at home on that composition, throwing Psycho into the mix instead of on that Bastion, flipping it up, putting Jesper onto the Bastion, the raw aim still absolutely there, and making sure that Tracer could come through and been a shining light for Team Norway so far. And the question for Team Ireland is, realistically, what do you ban here? Because when you've been mirroring so much in the meantime, do you want to take that Malga out and potentially introduce that Wrecking Ball? We've also seen D.Va played a lot there. I said taking time. They've taken time away from themselves. The Tracer's going to be off the board for Team Ireland and Team Norway. So maybe thinking that Norway got the better of that matchup. Potentially could be a switch over. We've seen Time play the Reaper in the Conference Cup, so could be something that goes back onto, but okay. Is Luau just calling us?
They've changed their minds. They're not going to allow the double DPS ban. Look, that's a little unconventional, but I would allow for it here in a scrim setting. But yeah, we'll have to see what Ireland's going to end up with. I suspect that yeah, they're going to go for maybe a tank, maybe a support ban here instead, since they can't take that Tracer out of the mix. I do think that we could have ended up on a very interesting composition if we had that Tracer taken out of the mix, because like you mentioned, mentioned, Soldier 76 has been kind of finding his way back into the meta. I think that Suravasa is a really, really good spot for him, where you have so much open space and you have so much mobility on the side of the Soldier that, yeah, not having that in the mix, very interesting. And also very interesting, Malga Ban coming through here. So the tank that has been present through all of the maps so far, not going to be played here.
Yeah, I believe we've got the information that Pure Irish is going to come in on tank for Team Island as well. And you're potentially going to see the D.Va version of this composition. The D.Va's able to affect that Cat Bastion duel a little bit further. With the defense matrix, it does allow you to soak up some of the damage from the Bastion and perhaps help out your own in that initial trade of turret forms. But we've seen that as a go-to realistically a lot of the time over in Korea, where this composition has been thriving. So we'll see if that is the play again. Like we said, you can pair up several different tanks in this composition, and with the meta being as it is pretty much go as you please for tanks. Has not really been one that stands out as the one that you have to play. And as I was favouring, the Zarya hasn't been as much of a thing here. But if they do decide to keep Jesper in on that Reaper, is going to be a little bit of a surprise. Cynex going over to the DPS, so time coming out for the meantime. Once again, not trying to do that, but it is going to be pretty much a mirror on the other side. Norway deciding to go back to that Jesper swag Bastion, and it is going to be the D.Va look for both teams.
Okay, yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense, D.Va. It's still in a very, very strong position here. Did have a little bit of a nerf coming through in this mid-season patch, but I can't imagine that she's going to be entirely unplayable. I think, especially if we do end up kind of on this this Bastion composition, she's just so good at eating up a lot of that damage. Good survivability kind of in her own right with the use of cycling through that defense matrix, and then really just kind of running away using the boosters to break LOS of that Jetpack have Bastion combo here. So Norway do still have Nexty on this Ana, so very much kind of favoring this this Ana composition here. I do think that gonna be maybe a little tricky here on Suravasa. Not as many kind of high grounds to get the Ana set up on, but there are some really nice long sight lines here. So we'll see what Norway can get done with this. It is going to be the Sim TP out from both teams. Psycho over onto that Tracer. So this time Norway is going to have that Tracer advantage. So it's going to be on Ireland, trying to avoid Psycho on the flank here. But I think with Nut over on that Kiriko, there's a lot of survivability on the side of Ireland.
Yeah, the Kiriko is going to do a little bit better at getting out of the way. Jesper being defense matrix by both D.Vas to start off the fight, but as that turret form runs out, going first does not seem to help that Bastion. The other side you see going down solo. Psycho's been able to find Nut, and that means that mech, has gone down for Pure Irish. And eventually that is going to be the telling blow for Team Norway, as they are going to be able to set up on this objective. And like we said before, for Nexty, you want to be in control of the objective and force the other team to go into you.
Yep, yeah, this is great for Norway to be set up first here. It's going to be Ireland looking to push in here. Probably going to have Luan and GCB kind of take a bit of an angle on their own so that you can create a little bit of space here. But Norway not looking to give any space up.
Yeah, the Suzu not just coming quite in time for Nut, and Cynex the next one to fall. Surely Lewin doesn't get away with this, and absolutely not. You can see Cynex switching over to the Tracer, not liking the Reaper look in the slightest, as once again, Norway hold on to control.
Yeah, I like the swap here from Cynex. I feel like you really do kind of have to match the Tracer, especially on Suravasa. Any of these kind of Flashpoint maps where you have these big lanes to worry about. If you're not going to match the Tracer, you got to play something that can at least keep the Tracer in check here. So Cynex has spotted out Isaac. Not going to be as sneaky as he was hoping.
Oh, and it's not a good place to recall into either. Just about able to stay alive. You can help that thank that patch for that with the nerf to those micro missiles, but Jesper being able to take down the opposing number once again, and Nexty actually winning out that main that flex DPS battle, taking down Cynex as well. The Ana getting investment now, maybe getting a bit overconfidence in, but it's not going to matter too much. 5 ults are going to be on the board for Team Norway as they've seemed dominant here on this first point for Suravasa.
Do you think that, Nexi has a lot of mechanical skill here? If he's able to just kind of survive through these fights, he'll do the damage. He'll mark the Tracer. It's just a matter of making sure he doesn't fall first in the fight. Now, Norway, they didn't have to use any ults to cap up that first point. So as we move on to Ruins here, they are going to have that advantage to work with here. Looks like they want to maybe try and force a fight on the point here. They have both the bomb and the artillery strike to try and zone this whole point off.
Well, they have everything at their advantage. Nano immediately invested in Lewin, not able to stay alive. GCB falls at the same time. Yes, Nexi is gone, but it looks like the rest of the team on the other side, the Irish, going down one by one by one. And once again, it is going to be Norway in control. Probably going to see a reset here from Isaac, just making sure to get off the map as quickly as possible. Thrown into the drink by the cat.
All right, Isaac should get back into the fight fairly quickly here, but I mean, great use of the nano there. That's all Norway needed, but now Ireland aware that the D.Va's not in the fight, so they're looking to go hard here.
Yeah, and that is why Ana is realistically used a lot of the time in these compositions. They've been able to get in here before Isaac can get in terms of the battle. And now they take control of the objective right back. But this Kitsune Rush isn't going to do anywhere near as much as it would be if your team was entirely grounded.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot of people from the side of Ireland that are really going to be able to benefit from that. But pure Irish on that D.Va, no reload needed. Definitely can get a lot of damage done here. And Norway, unfortunately, down their Ana already.
Yeah, Lewin able to make use of the healing deficit on the other side. Cynex a beautiful pulse bomb to start out this fight. And it looks like Team Ireland are growing back into Suravasa. A bit more damage in onto Psycho, able to stay alive on the Tracer, but they're going to stagger out this baby D.Va. They've forced the mech and just letting him live for now.
Yep, and that's great here for Ireland, approaching that 80%. Oh, Norway gonna have a very tough time getting back into this fight, especially up against a Kitsune Rush. I don't see a touch coming through for Norway.
Oh, Lewin sounds so low, doesn't have the cat to get him away, and now faces an artillery strike landing in on the immediate direction. Jesper's been able to do a lot here, and the overtime is still going out for Team Norway. They've been able to get this point back into their control with only a catnap on the other side. It is going to be difficult for Ireland to stay back in here.
Touch there from Psycho, triggering that overtime. Ireland, one more fight and they'll be able to tie us up here on Suravasa. Like you mentioned, the catnap is ready to go. Luan's building up to this artillery strike as well, but this nano from Nexi ready to go. We've seen it go over onto Jesper's flag so many times, and the value always seems to be there.
Yeah, passing gift there from Nexi means that Lewin isn't able to survive on that bastion. Just gonna run out now is the nano, so being forced back, but a pulse bomb invested onto the mech of Pure Irish should spell doom on this second objective for Team Ireland. Everything going in the favour of the Norwegians, as just about Cynex is going to be able to go down. And Norway go to a 2-point lead here. We are going to see full 5, even if Norway do find this third objective. But you want to be getting as much as you can here for Team Ireland.
Yep, that's definitely it. They have both TPS ults to work with here, but Norway, because they won that fight, they're going to be able to get themselves set up on this point here. Trying to get the Ana in the perfect position. Going to opt to not put the Ana on that forward high ground here. So it is going to be Norway having this catnap coming online and the bomb here from Isaac. But already the mech is so low, Isaac might have to use it just for the remake.
Yeah, and there it goes immediately, but the Nexi falling, it should be in the favour of Team Ireland, especially if you're able to take down the D.Va before the remake can come out, right? Being able to dip Pure Irish into the drink. It's going to be a good start here, but maybe just a little bit too much of a deficit to deal with for Team Norway's first point control on Objective 3 does go to Ireland.
All right, building some percentage here. Ireland also building some ultimates. They're going to have a lot to work with in this next fight. He's going to be Isaac, putting his toes on the point, trying to draw back Ireland towards this point. But honestly, Norway at a deficit when it comes to the ults. They might want to just try to get some ults out of this, go for the next fight.
Great defense matrix there from Pure Irish, making sure that Lewin is going to stay alive and now able to fight straight back through. Cynex finding Nexty once again. Diana hasn't had anywhere near as much space as we saw on New Queen Street, and it pays dividends again. You can see that the pressure that they were able to take into that low ground meant that the viability of the Kitsune Rush was just a little bit more than it had been previously.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Nice adjustment there from Ireland to make sure that they're getting the best value from these ultimates. And Norway right now feels like the name of the game is to just build up this nano for next year and then go in with Jesper Swag, but they're running out of time to do that.
Yeah, and you've got to be able to be alive to build that nano for the Ana, and Cynex has just been able to run through and take down the Ana on so many occasions. Lewin trying to stay alive here, and it's not that comes to the rescue, making sure that Psycho goes down, and then Lewin gets the better of Ryan Schreier. It's going to be 2-1 here for Ireland, so still the possibility to win out this map, even though we are going to full 5 anyway.
All right, they're looking to tie things up here. Already a lot of value coming through here for both of these teams. We can see that Ireland getting things turned around next. He just, yeah, really having a hard time on this Ana. But the fights where they can get the nano online very decisively going the way of Norway. They're able to just invest one ultimate in and then win out the fight. But like you mentioned, you gotta be alive to try and get that nano built up here. So fortunately for Norway, they just haven't been able to find these openings.
Yeah, and you can see how aggressive Nut's been now, TPing in with Pure Irish to get even more pressure onto Nexty. And that is something that this Kiriko can do, is you can help with these initial dives. Point control is going to be there for Ireland once again, with 3 ults on the board, but a full 5 on the other side. Can Norway break through this barrier?
Right, and they've got the nano now. This is the ult that they've been really kind of banking on here. So I think that right now the onus is on Pure Irish on this D.Va to try and have that defense matrix for when this nano goes onto that bastion.
The sleep there from Nexty to start off this fight is going to help, but Lewin's been able to make sure that the DPS does go down. Both cats deciding that they don't like water all that much, but Isaac being able to reinvest in here with the help of the nano on the D.Va is going to be cleaning up everything for Team Norway. Still point control for Pure Irish, as dying on the objective is going to help out a little bit more, but Norway were able to break through.
Yeah, I guess with 5 ultimates, it's a good thing Norway was able to win that fight out. Did use 3 of them in that. So, you know, 2 ults to hold on to here. Not the most impactful ults, but I would argue that Catnap, if you're going to use it, you want to be on a point like this where you have that environmental potential very nearby.
Still got the ability to get back in, but Nexty taking over, deciding to go aggressive, being fed up of being taken down on this Ana and going absolutely huge. The Kitsune Rush goes to waste on the other side, and now the advantage should be flipping for Team Norway as they look to take some more space.
Nexty getting a little bloodthirsty now, and yeah, I think that when we're seeing the Ana have the opportunity to go aggressive, use these anti-nades rather than having to use it for the healing, Norway is doing a great job following up on that. We can see that Psycho set up on the angle here, does have that pulse bomb ready to go. It's going to be both those DPS ults for Ireland to try and break into things.
Having to go into the sky to avoid the pressure, but eventually does fall into the clutches of Psycho with that pulse bomb engaged onto that flex support, of Team Ireland now. As they're trying to get a bit more damage in onto Lewin, but being taken back up and Nexty falling without being able to use that nano. Desperate situations here for Team Ireland with Pure Irish gone. Got a lot of pressure in here, but Ryan taken away by GCB and offering to the Void is going to be calling. Now that D.Va bomb invested by Isaac just to maintain the use of this objective and the mech. It's going to be Isaac left on his lonesome. Surely Team Ireland should be able to flip this.
Get in there.
Oh, the nano committed onto Isaac here. Norway want to be able to stay in this, and at 90% for Ireland, Norway is going to have to find their feet onto this point.
Lewin's sort of looking around there thinking, why have I been dropped off here? Both cats falling. Well, actually, sorry, Nexty falling. The cat is still available for Ryan Schreier, but Cynex cleaning up, and now in 99-99, shades of the game against Belgium here for the Irish fans. as Ireland look to get another reverse sweep on their hands, this time against the Norwegians.
Well versed in it, comfortable, heading into Palace here. Not that comfortable though, as Nut is gonna fall in that rotation here. Nexty showing a little bit more limbs here in the kill feed for us. And that means Norway gonna get themselves set up on the point first.
Yeah, and it is going to be a stalwart here with Lewin going down. Maybe just an overinvestment from Pure Irish deciding to use that Diva Bomb to try and get back into the mech. Psycho having absolutely none of it. And Ireland are going to be in a deficit to start off 0.5.
When there might get caught by surprise here. Psycho is hiding in the corner, has that pulse bomb ready to go, needs the trigger discipline to let Pure Irish walk forward before looking for this pulse bomb.
Yeah, once again, not just trying to get engaged here, making sure to stave off Psycho, but both DPS ults here for both sides, and a beautiful sleep onto Cynex allows Psycho to find that punish onto the opposing Tracer, and now this seems like it's the go button for the Norwegians. Lewin trying desperately to match the damage of Jesper, but it's going to be too little, too late, as now it ticks over 50% for Norway. You really need to get back and control the objective for Ireland.
Yeah, you really do. You have ults to work with here. Norway is just holding this first corner so well. They're getting the damage in from Jesper's flag, and then Isaac's kind of following up on that with the Diva. Just really great timing here, and Nano ready to go here for Norway.
Yeah, now they have the engage. Isaac finding one with a bomb, but does fall before being able to get back into the mech. But with so many kills ringing out in this little tiny room, it's going to be Pure Irish having to face that 1v4, and it's not going to be enough for the Diva player. Able to get one onto Nexty, making sure to sort of stamp a difficult time for the Ana into decimation. But you can see that Norway just being a little bit more comfortable on this composition the more it's been going on. And after that third objective on Antarctic Peninsula, have just looked slightly better than the Irish, maybe just taking a little bit of time to warm up. Once they've gotten there, they have looked ravenous to find these kills.
Yeah, I really like the Diva look from both of these teams as well. I do think that Norway was able to find just a little bit more value in kind of the timing of the Diva with the Bastion. Not only with Norway's own Bastion kind of following up on the kills, but also just denying the value from that turret form from the side of Ireland's Bastion. And I think that that is really so important if you're playing that Diva. Like you mentioned, was as we headed into Saravasa, that Mauga is really taking a lot of that damage from the DPS. So if you aren't able to kind of match that on a different tank, you're gonna really suffer at the hands of that Jetpack Cat Bastion. So I like it from both teams, but yeah, Norway getting the edge in that one. And I think that also Nexty really has just been kind of warming up on this Ana. You know, we're continuing to see him stick with it, and I think that every map getting a little bit more aggressive, able to play into the utility a little bit more, and I think that Norway has really kind of found their stride working alongside that utility.
Absolutely. In this Tracer version of this composition just has looked a little bit better for Norway as well. Psycho coming in onto that Tracer has been able to match the intensity that's gone onto Nexty from either Time or Cynex, whoever's been on that Tracer, and put it back in spades onto Nut as well. And even with the Kiriko and being able to get away, have a bit more survivability, it's just not quite been enough for the Irish flex support to be able to get back into this game as much as you would really want. You've seen that Nexty's been able to build these nanos, and you'd say for the most part in terms of Overwatch, Nano and Kitsune Rush have been two ultimates that have been the stalwarts of very good support ultimates, but not been the case here today so far, as the Kitsune Rush just doesn't find as much value when most of your team is either going to be off the floor or have to be grounded to make the use out of it.
It's an interesting trade-off between these two flex supports, right? You have the Kiriko on one hand that has really great survivability and good kill potential as well. But yeah, not able to really kind of find the same value with that ultimate in this specific kind of Jetpack Cat Bastion meta that we found ourselves in. And then on the other side of things, you know, the Ana a little bit more fragile, harder to kind of keep alive into those mid and late fight scenarios. But yeah, that Nano just absolutely so impactful. I think especially where we're seeing a lot of resources being being given into the Bastion in these compositions, right? Of course, you have the Jetpack Cat that is flying alongside the Bastion, but giving the Nano over onto the Bastion just guarantees that you're going to be able to get good value from the damage. You got an eye in the sky, you know, at the time at 0.15, the damage as well. So I think that it just really gives so much survivability to your Bastion, as we do know where it will be going. Of course, we will be heading over to Scrim's Row, and Ireland right away coming out with that Jetpack Cat ban.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting to see Ireland going over and favoring that Jetpack Cat on the first 3 maps. Of course, going up against Germany was what took the Germans over the line, was that Jetpack Cat Bastion composition. They seem to find it about the same time as it was going out to the other regions as well, but hasn't been banned by Team Norway. Is going to be something that's not going to allow as much of a pressure here from Pure Irish. We have seen D.Va be very, very viable on this map as well, but it's going to force a completely different look here, as we're going to go to some more standard Overwatch on what has been a very standard map. After the first 2, going over to New Queen Street and, of course, Antarctic Peninsula. Some maps that you don't see all that often. Suravasa and Kings Row coming out as the next 2. Pretty much as standard as you can get in terms of those map types.
Yeah, that's true. The teams will be very, very well practiced on Kings Row. I don't imagine that any team is coming into this map without an idea of what they want to run. You know, the Jetpack Cat ban is going to shake things up a little bit just in terms of what we've been seeing so far. But Overwatch existed long before Jetpack Cat kind of found her way into the meta. Even in the season, I feel like we didn't really get to see Jetpack Cat work her way into viable play until very, very late. You know, we're hitting the mid-season now. She's been out for quite a while, so I think that we'll see, a little bit more standard Overwatch here. It is going to be Ireland on the defense here, so this composition is what they'll be potentially locking in. Of course, it's a scrim code, so they could TP back here, as might get to see a little bit of, okay, no, not Iari. It's pretty standard Lucio Kiriko backline here for Ireland. They're going to have Senex over on that May as well, so really looking to isolate Isaac here on this tank.
Yeah, they're going to look to be an immovable object here on this objective. GCB going over to that Lucio that player has been known for pretty much the entire time, and I mean, the comfortability on the Jetpack Cat is going to help, as Team Ireland did have a lot of trouble in those maps in the Conference Cup where the Lucio was taken away from their main support. But you can see that cold ice block already utilized by Cynex. It's going to put a bit more pressure onto the Mage. Jesper getting one, but immediately traded out by the dead Lewin. Parting gift of that grenade is going to help out, but losing GCB is going to mean that Pure Irish is going to be in a world of trouble. Lewin just about able to get back into that ice block, but not going to be too long before the ability to take down Cynex is going to be a cause, and then Pure Irish, the last one standing, finally going to fall. The longer that these fights go on for, the better it's going to get for Isaac on that Zarya.
Yep, all charged up now. The team kill comes through for Norway, and Ireland is, of course, going to get the forward spawns here. So there is an opportunity for Ireland to at least have a fight in the streets phase at that first corner. Going to be so important, especially where you're running this May.
Yeah, you gotta put some pressure here onto Isaac. You do trade out the tank, but at least you've taken down that Zarya. The charge has been reset. Just about able to survive there, and getting around the corner are the Irish. And Lewin able to take down Psycho as switch over to that Cass, who has been viable a lot here. Cynex just about taking down Nexty as well. You can see that the Zarya is coming back into the fold a little bit quicker than Pure Irish, but when Nut's been able to take down Jesper Swag, it is going to be a stalwart on the objective. Just forced back away here, our Team Ireland, as Isaac takes back control.
Alright, yeah, you can see Isaac has pushed all the way up, taking control of that high ground as well, building up to the grab. It's just the Deadeye that was committed there from Norway. Ireland haven't committed any ults in this map just yet. They do have some big ones coming up here. That Annihilation, of course, going to be so dangerous if you can force a fight on the card, but Reflect will have to be to potentially answer back.
GCB needs this sound barrier as well to come quickly. The grab is going to be online for Isaac, but when you're able to take him down in the form that Lewin has, going to be helping out massively. It's going to make sure that GCB can get that ult on the board. Only a Blizzard invested by Cynex, but they're able to get the kills off the back of it and still land with 4 ults on the board.
And crucially, Ireland are going to be able to get set up at the choke point here. So important for Norway to have this grab fight-winning ult to try and break through this choke point. With Jesper Swag having that Tectonic Shock online as well, you might be able to commit that into it, but the pure damage from the Venture might be enough for Norway to win this set.
Yeah, immediately it's investing. You're able to take down Nut. That high noon still there for Lewin, but not able to find a kill off the back of it. And you don't need to invest the grab here as the kills come running through for Norway. Just dying on the objective, going to be the matter of business. No other ults invested, but the Kitsune Rush being there for Nexi in this next fight could be huge.
Right, yeah, having that advantage, the Kitsune Rush advantage is going to be massive here for Norway. It's going to be a little bit of taxi here. Payload moving forward, getting good value here on the streets phase. Ireland do still have this Annihilation to work with, but both those support ults, the grab still ready to go here for Isaac as well. If he can just build up some charge in this mid-fight, he can commit that in a later fight.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush invested early. There's the grab as well, but reflected in turn by the beat from GCB. Both of those sound barriers invested now means that it is going to be free reign for Pure Irish if you're able to stay alive within this Annihilation. Psycho now walking forwards with this Deadeye is going to find the kill onto Nut, and surely that means that this objective will fall into the hands of Team Norway as they try and head towards the underground, and immediately you can see the kills run through. It was a bit of a time bank investment, but they're able to get there. With 3.5 minutes on the board, they're going to look at capturing all 3 objectives.
Yeah, and they're taking a lot of space here in the third point as well, trying to build up to this Tectonic Shock for Jesper Swag. Ireland pretty far behind in most of these ultimates. Luan going to be the closest one here with that Deadeye, but it's really just going to come down to are you able to survive through this Tectonic Shock that Norway's bringing forward?
And you're not going to have that Deadeye here either. The Tectonic Shock now invested by Jesper Swag, and the kills just aren't being found at the moment for Team Ireland. Punishing drill back into the swing of things for Pure Irish. Team kill bell rings out, and now it's going to be action stations just to try and stay alive here on this third objective.
Yeah, a lot of progress, momentum being gained here for Norway. Next, he's building up to a Kitsune Rush. Should be able to match it around the same time as Nut, but right now, Ireland, they need a pick.
Pure Irish not even able to leave the spawn. You're able to take down Psycho with the use of the Deadeye, but so much pressure being forced here by Jesper Swag. Is a trade out by not able to use things, and next team maybe getting a little bit too aggressive on the Kiriko as well. Should allow time for Pure Irish to come back into this fight, and indeed it does. Cynex finding the kill onto Reflect. They now look to get a little bit more aggressive, but wisely they stay back round the corner with Isaac having this grab to invest into the next fight.
Yeah, this is going to be massive for the next fight. You just have to wait out kind of the shields here, but Ireland want to go fast here. They get answered by that grab.
Yeah, immediately the Blizzard and the Kitsune Rush invested by Team Ireland just to try and find something, but Cynex is going to fall, and Pure Irish stuck here in the middle of no man's land is going to be staggered out. Now Isaac looking to gain forward onto this objective. Are you going to have a touch out from the Irish? They are just about able to get there, but surely one by one they will fall. Reflect almost beating into the void, but it's not going to be enough to allow for Pure Irish to get back. 1 minute 36 on the clock and a full capture of King's Row for Norway, who look like they're building more and more and more into this scrim as it goes on.
Yeah, and I really like Isaac on this Zarya. I think that the timing of the bubbles on Jesper Swag have been fantastic, and then also just in these really kind of late fights, making sure that you can get your Lucio out of the fight, or get your your other support out of the fight. I think that the timing on the bubbles has been fantastic, and that really also is helping Isaac just keep such high charge for so long here, which I think is no small feat when you're playing the Zarya into Ramatra. Not to mention Cynex was on that Mei as well. It really does feel like there's a lot of things kind of stacked against the Zarya here, but just some really nice cycling coming through to make sure that Zarya is able to stay alive for as long as possible, build up the charge, and just get the damage done here. As you can see Psycho, I mean, on that Cassidy, just absolutely incredible showing here, but Isaac, I think, really kind of the star of the show here for Norway.
Yeah, Jesper wasn't afraid to go down in some of those fights as well, but get the space that was needed for the rest of the team. And you can see that Zarya Ven composition has not died. It's just switched over to Venture, not Vendetta. Isaac hovering this Junker Queen, obviously buffs to the self-healing off of the bleed, off of that last patch, but no, going to be the Domino instead, and it's going to be once again a tried and true attempt at making sure that this immovable object is going to be there for Team Norway. It's going to be a little bit harder for Jesper to engage without the use of the bubbles from the Zarya, but we'll see what the Venture player is going to be able to do.
Okay, Avalanche, this whole time I've been staring at Reflect. I've been waiting for the swap to come through. I'm like, look, I know we had some changes to Mercy, but I don't think that it's Mercy time. No, it is going to be Reflect over on to the Wuyang here. But yeah, like you mentioned, Jesper is definitely going to have to play a lot more defensively here on this Venture, so we'll have to see that that adjustment come through for them, especially Ireland are coming out on the attack here. Synex on this Pharah here. I mean, we saw what Psycho could do on this Cassidy, so I think as long as Norway can really empower that Cassidy, should be able to put some pressure onto Synex in this Pharah.
Yeah, and we've seen Pharah nerfed as well in the patch as of about an hour and a half ago, moving into more like 2.5 hours here, as it's going to be the case of a lot of damage going on to Reflect, and they've been able to dive that Wuyang consistently here on this first fight for the objective. GC be the one to find the kill, but the pressure has been coming from the entire Irish team. And once again, you can see trying to set up on this objective has not worked for either team. Both teams falling in quick fashion, as it is going to be a first objective capture for Team Ireland. Nexty doing as much as possible to try and get some damage in, and able to get away as well on the Kiriko, making sure to stay alive, but first objective capture is not going to be able to be stopped by the two supports of Team Norway. Eventually it comes through.
We are going to see Isaac swap over onto the Zarya, so the Domina just, getting a little bit paced out maneuvered there with Pure Irish on the D.Va, who is going to make an adjustment of his own over onto the Ramatra now, but this is going to be kind of a similar matchup to what we saw on the other side of things, so Jesper Swag going to have those bubbles to work with once again for Norway.
Yeah, I think Jesper's going to be a lot more at home with those bubbles back in use from Isaac. Now Lewin trying to get up to the high ground on this damage-dealing Sojourn, but forced back away immediately as the hits have been ringing out from Psycho for the most part. Overclock and the Barrage now online for both of the DPS of Team Ireland, but you see Jesper trying to interrupt things in the back point. Kitsune Rush goes in, Nexty gets it, but not before Jesper falls, so now in the 5v4, should be advantage for Team Ireland, trying to get forwards here with the use of this Kitsune Rush. It is going to elapse for both teams, and now you have to go with the tail between the legs for Team Norway. Give up control of the objective, let it move a little bit further. Overclock now on board for Lewin, trying to get some damage in, going to be grabbed out, as it is going to be just about some survivability there from GCB. Psycho's going to get the kill onto Lewin with the use of the Deadeye. Isaac trying to stay alive now, as you have to back away. Cynex trying to find anything with the Barrage, but it's not going to be enough. And somehow it seems like it's going to be a hold for Team Norway off the back of what's pretty much been every ult and then some invested.
Yeah, honestly, a big win here for Norway. They do commit a lot of ults into that, but you got so much out of Ireland as well. Luon's going to swap over onto the Cassidy off of that Sojourn as well, but Pure Irish not going to be able to stay alive. So, right, that's unfortunate here for Ireland, is they're going to have to just bleed time from the clock here. The Annihilation going to be so important for them to try and get through this choke point here. I think that Synex gets to be very careful as well, but Norway now set up on this choke point. You have Psycho to put in consistent damage, you have Jesper Swag to put in consistent damage. It is going to be hard for Ireland to get through this choke point.
I mean, the one question here for Norway is with Reflect on that Wuyang. Without the use of the sound barrier, how are you going to deal with Pure Irish's Annihilation? The only ultimate on the board as Pure Irish turns the corner, and surely it won't be long before we see the Annihilation invested. There it goes, but they've been able to zone out pretty well. And I mean, no, actually, they've been able to hold on to it. I thought that was the Annihilation pop, but no, just the Nemesis form to force them back. Still going to be on the cards here for Pure Irish. But you can see the DPS ults bearing up for Team Norway. That tectonic shock's going to be difficult to deal with, and immediately you can see Pure Irish having to hold those hands up, make sure that the damage isn't going to be coming through quite as much. Kitsune Rush invested for both teams, and it looks like it's been a flip of the map here pretty much from Team Ireland, able to get into the backlines, and the rotations out from Team Norway just to make sure that there's not going to be as much pressure in. Now Pure Irish is able to invest the Annihilation, but the grab here is big as GCB does not have the sound barrier to match up with it. Pure Irish going down to the Deadeye, and once again, it looks like the stalwarts of Team Norway have been able to deal with things. GCB taking down Psycho, and Cynex taking down Nexty with the use of the barrage as well. Cynex going huge, living on 4 HP. The miracle that was needed maybe to bring them over the line here on this second street phase has been answered, and it's Cynex on that Pharaoh that's able to carry them through.
Look, at first you don't succeed, try again. Cynex didn't find the value with the solo barrage onto the Zarya last time, but this time, very much finding the value that he was looking for, and that is going to be Ireland moving into the third point. A little under 3 minutes to work with here. The beat going to be massive. Like you mentioned, Norway doesn't have a Lucy of their own to work with.
Healer being sped through as well with the Deadeye, finding one onto Psycho. Maybe could have found a second if the trigger was held a little bit longer, but finding one here is going to be helpful no matter what. Jesper just trying to get back to the rest of the team with the Burrow. Now deciding to exit the ground, but Cynex finds the kill onto Reflect, being forced into the underworld as Psycho is able to trade it out with the Silver Bullet ringing through. Not though with this Kitsune Rush. It's nowhere near on the other side for Nexty, and this is going to allow Pure Irish to battle through the team on the other side. 2 minutes on the board still. They are going to be looking to cap with a similar time bank as was seen on the other side for Team Norway. How long can you hang on for? Isaac down solo, 31 HP eventually is going to fall. There is going to be a slightly longer time bank for the Irish here, as it looked like it was going to be insurmountable, but that third objective was doing very well there, and you can see that both teams on their attack able to get through 3, and I think that is just about a win in scrim terms for Team Ireland there as they level up this scrim at 2-2.
Us up here, and I like to see this a little bit of adjustment, right? We had that jetpack hack ban come through for Kings Row, a little unsure of what necessarily we were going to end up on, but I think that the look of the Lucio Kiriko from Ireland really kind of, you know, your bread and butter, the composition that everybody was running before jetpack hack kind of made her rise to fame, and I do think that Reflect on the Wu Yang had a lot of good value for Norway, but it's so hard to contend against a Lucio when you have no speed of your own, especially when Ireland are running that Ramatra, looking to just kind of run down Isaac. Definitely saw like a lot of value from the Zarya when we were able to stay live through those fights, build up that charge, but trying to kind of back away from a Ramatra that has a Lucio speeding towards you, Ireland were just able to clean up those fights a little bit easier than Norway could.
Yeah, well, anyone that has been doing the mental mass of the different map types will know that Escort is the last one on the board, and the teams are going to try as much as possible to do as many maps as they can in the 2 hours, so potentially either 5 or 6 on the board here, as it is level in this scrim 2-2-2, and Ireland will be happy to get a bit of things going back in their favour after the last 2 maps fell to Norway. Now, going on to Escort, we're going to see what these 2 teams are going to be going to on what could be our final map of the day, but if we're able to get through to a 6, we will be bringing that to you as well. Norway picking here between what is on the board, as you see on the right-hand side. Should be one of these 3, but potentially you can bring in something else. I believe this is the map pool that is going to be used for that tournament later on in May, and it is going to be Rialto. Another one of those maps where the Jetpack Cat Bastion has been running rampant, but we do have bans as well to take him away. But I'm sure that at least in a scrim format, these 2 teams are going to be wanting to see what they can do against the Jetpack Cat Bastion on the other side, as without any nerfs to either of those 2 characters on that mid-season patch that came through just earlier today, probably going to be what we're seeing a fair amount in terms of those end of May qualifiers.
And I think that's a really good point. You know, we have to anticipate that as you head into those qualifiers, you're going to be running into teams that are running that Jetpack Cat Bastion. So as much as it is good to kind of get some practice in on some other compositions, like we saw the Jetpack Cat getting banned out on King's Row, so you are going to have some opportunities to play some other compositions. So you can't get too rusty on them, but yeah, I think that it is a wise decision to try and practice the meta as much as you can on as many different maps as you can. We have the bans coming through here. So the Widowmaker being taken off the table here by Norway. A fantastic map for Widowmaker, and the Ana for the side of Ireland. I think this is very smart for them because we have been seeing Norway force that Ana to work with the Jetpack Cat.
Yeah, and the high ground is going to allow, well, would, if the Ana was still available, allow the Ana to maybe just have a bit more defensive variety and get away from that Bastion in the turret form. But especially for Team Norway, we've said about other teams running this Jetpack Cat Bastion. The originators over here in EMEA during the Conference Cup, Germany, are in the group of Team Norway. And we saw that niche pay off for Germany in spades, especially on this map against Ireland. That Jetpack Cat Bastion was able to hold through on this first objective the entire time for the Germans, and they were using that to their advantage as much as possible. As we head over to the canals of Rialto, what could be our final map of the day, but hopefully we'll be able to get one more in. We are going to be seeing two teams probably play what we have seen before for the most part, with the Kiriko going to be there for Nut, as has been what has been chosen by Nut for the most part. And I don't think you're able to run this island. 3 DPS, not sure that's viable in this current meta.
They're cooking something up, but yeah, I suspect GCB is going to move back over on to that Jetpack Cat, trying a little bit to get out of jail briefly. Tasted
Please,
the freedom.
Let me go. I don't want to play the cat anymore.
Alas, yeah, it will not be the Sierra coming through here for Ireland, but Ireland will be on the defense first here, potentially getting to see Cinex over on this Freya. I think that this is a really good opportunity to play the Freya still, where you don't have that Widowmaker to kind of be contested with, and you know, the Emre is still, of course, going to be very strong, but I think the burst potential from the Freya is really, really nice, especially for trying to maybe take out Jetpack Cat Bastion on the other side of things. I think Pure Irish on the Diva makes a lot of sense here as well. Being able to control this high ground on the defense is so important. Norway are going to be rolling out with Isaac over on this Mauga, though, so a lot more cart presence here available for Norway, especially where they're going to have Jesper Swag back over on that Reaper to pair with that Mauga.
Yeah, and that is going to be the name of the game here, is going to be the cart presence. Sinex on this Freya that has been buffed in the mid-season patch, so she's got a bit more viability in these situations. We'll see how much the Freya works out for Sinex, but just holding up on this high ground for now. Pure is trying to get involved in this Bastion v Bastion situation, and Luton able to take full advantage of it. The defense matrix is able to help out a little bit more, but with Sinex falling to a low ground into the clutches of Jesper Swag, they're still going to try and fight forwards here.
Right, and I mean, they're getting some progress on this card. It is going to be a matter of trying to dislodge Pure Irish from this high ground, though. You can see the Diva really just doing a great job kind of contesting the point from that corner, and all the while, it's attention away from the back line here of Norway. They're going to end up losing one first.
Lewin having already built up to that barrage and that first perk as well. Sinex able to just about get away from the step of Jesper Swag, and now with the ability to just burn that defense matrix and make sure that that cardiac overdrive from Isaac isn't going to get too much availability for some overhealth. Able to burn down Lewin, though, is going to be a good start to this next fight for Norway. And even though they haven't really been winning these fights, they've not been losing them either. The cart progress has been good for them, and now they can look to gain a bit more of an advantage here. Losing Nut is going to be probably too much for the Irish to deal with, and the first objective does break through for Norway, as they pretty much spent most of the time here getting that cart progress going.
And that's the thing is that Ireland, you know, here Irish did a great job of contesting the card at that kind of second corner there, but there isn't really the opportunity to go for that kind of free and safe contest throughout the rest of Rialto here. So Ireland is going to have to really make some adjustments here to try and find these opening kills onto the backline of Norway and stop taking the fight against Isaac.
Well, Nexty getting the better of Nut once again is not going to be what you're wanting to see if you are Team Ireland. Lewin taking down Psycho, but Cynex falling in the meantime. Trying to get away here, but the cage to disrupt GCB's catnap is going to mean that Isaac is not going to be extinguished here. Norway still holding on to 3 ultimates, and one lonesome Kitsune rush on the other side for Nut is not going to be mirrored on the other side. But still, you're going to have to do a lot here to force through and make sure that Norway can't keep moving this bot forwards.
I mean, they've got so much space here. Isaac has just been holding so far forward. The payload already nearly at this checkpoint. Ireland now have to go for the touch.
The Death Blossom's huge as well from Jesper Swag, finding 2. Lewin's able to take down the Reaper, but the souls of the Irish already being taken away. It's a bit of a stall here from GCB, but not too much that the cat can do.
Nope, that will be the cat falling at a very healthy time bank here for Norway as they head into the 3rd point, and Ireland just have not found an answer to this Mauga. They are having such a hard time winning out in the front line here. Isaac is just controlling so much space, which means that Psycho and Nexty are doing a really good job kind of finding some damage to go along with it. Now though, Ireland going to have this artillery strike ready to go. There's going to be one on the other side, though. Psycho ready to go, but very, very low. It's going to be the Bastion win here.
Again at the hands of Nexty, who has been released on this Kiriko to be able to do some more damage, deciding, you know, you've been taking the fight to me for too long. I'm going to switch it back onto the other side. And Nut has been the one under pressure mostly on the Kiriko. They've been able to get into the backline consistently of Team Ireland. That being said, Isaac does fall, but not the cost of nothing for Team Ireland. And once again, they're able to get back in here.
Yeah, this payload creeping forward once again. Nexty gonna have that Kitsune Rush advantage here. Isaac with the cage as well. We saw it last time used to cancel out this catnap, which GCB does have ready to go. Once again, you have to expect it's probably gonna go over onto the tank, but no, it's an aggressive cage.
Yeah, and immediately it is dealt with. Suzu there to make sure that Isaac can stay alive a little bit longer. The Kitsune Rush just too much for the other team to handle. The Poker Bomb though, carried around the other side by GCB. It gets all 5. Something that you don't see every day at the highest level. A 5 kill with the Diva Bomb for Pure Irish, and that's going in the highlight reel for sure.
Oh, impressive stuff there from GCB, and that's what you love to see from this Jetpack Cat. Not only do you have the utility to help your Bastion get around, but it's about picking up the Diva Bomb, finding a little bit of surprise here for Norway. So, good amount of time burned off the clock, but there's still lots here for Norway to work with, including Psycho still, well, having that ult in spawn.
Yeah, but Nut's gone down again. Kiriko just hasn't been given the availability to stay alive into this composition. They're able to get back out, and without the Kiriko here, they're going to have to just stall for the moment, Team Ireland. Nut should be back in just a second. Approaching that Kitsune Rush for the flex support of Team Ireland is going to help, and that's going to help even less so. Cynex not being able to make use of that Death Blossom to full advantage. Lewin still getting the better of Psycho on this Bastion trade. And Jesper, the same thing as happened to Cynex, falls down on the other side. Pure Irish does stay alive as well here, finding some kills on the Baby Diva. Isaac does get the kill with that overrun, but at the end of the day, it is surely going to be the Malga that falls eventually. Cynex finding the final kill with those dice.
There's going to be a slight disengage here from Ireland trying to regroup, but they should be able to come back into this fight fairly quickly, where Isaac is back in the spawn here for Norway. So there's no tank to be the presence that Norway needs on the point. So this is the time to move now if you're Ireland.
Yeah, Lewin just putting a bit too much pressure in though, getting a bit too greedy. And Psycho able to find the kill. Now the reinvestment comes in here. Pure Irish drops the bomb back off to GCB, but not the same fireworks as we saw last time, and unable to get back into the mech is Pure Irish. It's action stations here for Team Ireland. They've been able to take a lot of time off the clock, but surely they aren't able to get back into this dire situation.
Hey, good stuff here. Norway gonna finish out Rialto. 1 minute and 1 second on the clock here. And got stalled up a little bit here on this third point. Definitely felt like first and second point, more or less just a stroll through the park for them. But Ireland did a good job digging in their heels on that last point. So we will have to see a better time bank here for Ireland on their attack. To take the win here. We won't be going into the overtime rounds, but you know, every little point counts for bragging rights and whatnot. But yeah, fantastic showing, honestly, from both teams. But I think that Ireland opting to run that Diva instead of the Malga did really it hindered them on first and second point.
Yeah, so they were able to stunt up a little bit, but I mean, on Rialto's third objective is probably the hardest to take from the attacking side, so read into that as much as you will. We did see that Ireland did look better on their attack on King's Row, though, and the question now is, with that same composition coming out, will you be able to find a better attack here, as is exactly what happened on King's Row?
Right? Yeah. To see, also just noting there that next to you with 2 deaths, I mean, this is a player that when you're on that Ana, we were seeing, you know, double-digit deaths for the side of this flex support, but really has been kind of, like you mentioned, just released on this Kiriko. Fantastic showing here from next to you on this hero. We'll see that maybe continue here on the defense as Norway looking to run this same composition here. So they aren't going to have that Diva to kind of get control of the high ground here. So it is going to be on Isaac to really be the contest on the cart here. So we'll see if that's going to make a difference here for Norway on their defense. Ireland, so far looking like they want to run their same composition as well. I think it really is going to come down to the battle of these jetpack cats. I think especially on first point where there's so many roofs to hide around and there's so many good sightlines.
Yeah, word of warning to Nexty though. You may have been doing a lot of damage on the attacking side, but on the defense, you are going to be the one that's probably going to be the dive target for Pure Irish if you're going to look to put some pressure onto those high grounds and force that TP back into the rest of the team. Lewin has been doing really well on the Bastion to get the better of Psycho as well. On that defensive side, that was what was happening. It would be Lewin getting the first kill onto Psycho, but the rest of the team just weren't able to deal with the pressure that Jesper Swag and Isaac were able to invest onto the objective. But now as we head out of the spawn doors, Psycho still here on the Bastion, just looking to gain a little bit of an angle. Some pot shots in before the full investment of the turret form. We are going to get to the corner here before anything else, and you can see they've already forced Jesper Swag away, and Isaac absolutely blows up on the Malga. That full health bar going to 0 in barely any time at all.
You blink and it is gone, and that's the beauty of running the Diva into the Malga, is you can just use the defense matrix to eat up that cardiac overdrive, so no self-heal for the side of the Malga. It applies to the Reaper as well, of course, so a little bit of progress here on the cart for Ireland. Isaac is going to be back into this fight fairly quickly, but this at least will mean that Ireland can get this payload up around the halfway mark, so it's going to be on Norway to try and bunker themselves in on this second archway.
Cynex taking down Nexy, though, should be able to get them across the line here if they're able to use things to their advantage. Isaac going down low, the cardiac overdrive is not going to be enough, and just running into the objective, trying to mitigate as much damage as possible, not going to be enough to survive, and it is only going to be Psycho and Reflect left standing. Nexy TPing back out of spawn, but it could be too little too late here as Lewin does almost have this artillery form online and definitely has been getting the better of the Bastion on the other side. First objective goes in control to Team Ireland, and they look to keep the ball rolling here as Lewin gets a kill onto Psycho, but immediately traded out by Reflect. Looking like you are just going to be in a stalemate here under the bridge. They try to get forwards.
Yeah, Norway is trying to just burn some time off their clock here. I don't expect that they're going to be investing too heavily into this fight at the archway here. They are going to try to go for the disengage here. No speed, though, to work with. So next he's going to get caught out there. And it's going to be the payload continuing to move forward here as Norway just keeps sending bodies at the point.
Yeah, but they're being traded out 1 for 1, and the objective keeps rolling through no matter what. The next one to give up their life to the objective is going to be Reflect. A couple of kills mopped up for GCB, and Ireland going back in with Lewin coming back to the objective should be in a strong place. 5-0.
Yeah, right. This is going to be an explosive fight for both of these teams. Ireland are pushing up onto the high ground. They want to deny Norway from taking this, but it's going to be a cage in response.
Yeah, Lewin, first time on this attacking side for Ireland that Psycho gets the better of him. Kitsune Rush invested as well as they're still trying to fight into this one. Cynex getting some damage into Psycho, and without that jetpack cat to be able to take you away, you are going to be in the clutches of the Reaper. So a couple of invested ultimates from Team Ireland, but they still keep this ball rolling.
Yeah, they do, and I like that they hold on to this this catnap and the bomb. We've seen some pretty big things from it, but Norway probably not going to be caught off guard by that once again, and they have the Kitsune Rush advantage to work with.
Unmirrored Kitsune Rush is going to be a little bit too much for Lewin to handle. The bomb doesn't find any kills. Now the catnap in onto Isaac, who does get dragged into the water. The Malga going to be quenched in the canals here, but Pure Irish is going to be stuck by the catnap of Reflect, and even though the water's not found, it is going to be an offering up here to Psycho to gain that damage. Just about, oh, actually, with the use of that grenade, going to find the kill onto Pure Irish's mech, and it should be an easy cleanup here. I say that. 2 kills going back the other way of Team Ireland. Isaac's been able to get the kill onto Lewin, and maybe, just maybe, this tank presence is going to be too much for the Irish to handle. Still fighting here, Isaac, taking over the lobby on the Malga, and somehow being an absolute stalwart here, as the cage is going to come straight back into the hands of the Malga.
Yeah, fantastic stuff here from Isaac. I mean, especially where Pure Irish was out of the mech there. That is really going to be a key component to trying to take down this Malga. If you're not going to match the Malga, you got to be able to DM a lot of the value, or a lot of that cardiac overdrive to make sure that you can take this tank down. But Norway, again, it's going to be Psycho actually finding Lua.
Yeah, and Isaac's able to just add that little bit more damage from range that Pure Irish doesn't have the ability to on the Diva. Yes, you can take some of the damage away, but you can't give it out quite as much. Psycho now just flying in way around this corner for the Irish to take a step out along the other side. For ultimates though, for Team Ireland is going to try and do a lot here, and Psycho eventually will fall to the Bastion. Now using that artillery bomb, the catnap is going to drag Isaac off, and Nexty just deciding to go into the drink as well for the quick reset. There is still a bit of time to go here as this cart has rolled back a little.
Yeah, right, we're back at the third corner here, so this is going to be Ireland trying to get as much progress as they can, and it'll be a disengage, then waiting for Pure Irish to come back in. Since come back actually on the Symmetra now as well, so you're going to have to try and keep this Symmetra alive for as long as possible in these fights to really build up that charge to be able to melt down this tank.
Yeah, Pure Irish just trying to put some pressure onto the higher ground, make sure that it's not completely unwarranted, as Jesper Swag looking to gain a way in. Dire triggers used, but Isaac finding Lewin again, and this Malga just puts a bit too much pressure on the Bastion in this composition. The added damage from Isaac just means that it's an overwhelming advantage for Lewin, and you can see immediately that the Symmetra did not work out for Cynex.
Yeah, it's the swap back over onto the Reaper, but now Norway are set up very close once again, and they are going to look to make this fight as hard as possible for Ireland just to get out of their spawn.
Lewin looked like he was going to get away there, but no. Psycho paying back the damage that's been done over that first objective, and Jesper able to TP back away to safety. The bomb coming in, but it doesn't quite find the kill. Gets a couple low, but with 10 seconds left, you need some sort of miracle here for Ireland And Reflect going down to Lewin is going to help out here, but Lewin immediately into the clutches of Jesper, and the spin in onto GCB is devastating. Nuts found a kill onto Nexty, which is going to help out on the objective, but Isaac's going to have a lot of staying power here. The objective, the payload, is in the hands of Team Ireland, but not for long, just being forced back and run back in. Here is Pure Iris taken down. It is going to be Rialto brought into the hands of Team Norway. Yes, you can jump in over and you can invest a little bit more here, but surely GCB is not going to be able to get anyone away. Nope, Isaac cleans it up, and it is going to be Norway getting to 3 first, and we'll see if there is time for a final map here, or whether that will be the end of today's broadcast.
Oh, Luan. 18 deaths there on the Bastion. I mean, for a lot of these fights, it was Luan that was kind of getting the upper hand, but it really felt that Norway kind of locked in at the end there, doing a much better job getting themselves set up after every fight to make sure that they had their cat Bastion kind of in the perfect spot so that wherever Ireland tried to engage in from, you were met around a corner by a Bastion looking to mow you down. So honestly, a really good adjustment here from Norway throughout the entire series. This was a lot of kind of back and forth between these two teams. So it's exciting to see kind of this level of competition already.
Yeah, I think Isaac being on that Malga, just being able to put in a bit more damage was the downfall of Team Ireland. And we're just getting confirmation that that will be the final match for today. So Team Norway winning out this scrim, as we are going to look back at the maps, and getting the first win of the day on the newly revamped Antarctic Peninsula for this season. New Queen Street, though, staying in the cold, going over to Canada, fell into Norway's clutches. Suravasa just about going the way of Norway as well. Ireland had designs on a reverse sweep there, but weren't able to quite do the job. Kings Row back to Team Ireland, but with both teams having a full capture of all 3 points. And then Rialto, as we just saw, 3-2-1 to Team Norway. They are going to be your winners out for this scrim, but both teams looking confident to head into those qualifiers at the end of May. And Rain, what have you seen here from these two teams that you're going to be looking forward to as we go ahead?
It's going to be a lot of jetpack, Cat. I like to see the adjustments from both of these teams to kind of the timing of that Bastion turret form when you're working with that jetpack cat, and how much attention the tank can really take away from the other team. So that's going to be really important as we move into these tougher and tougher teams, is really kind of finding how to split up the attention of the opponent so that your jetpack cat Bastion comp can find that little bit more value here. Like what we got to see on Kings Row as well, of course, at some point during the qualifiers, you're gonna have the jetpack cat get banned out, or you're gonna have the Bastion banned out. So teams still have to be well versed in some other backlines here. So I like to see those adjustments coming through from both of the teams as well. But yeah, I think that going forward, it's going to be heavy investments into these compositions where we didn't see either of those heroes touched in this mid-season patch. I think that it's looking like Ireland and Norway are getting a pretty good handle on how to anticipate this upcoming meta.
Well, before we thank you guys and leave, we're going to give a big thank you to everyone that has made this stream possible for us today. We've had Luau producing, obviously you've had me and Rain sharing the mic together. Observer has been Lagaless. A special thanks to Team Ireland and Team Norway and to Respawn.io for giving us the tools to be able to bring this package to you. But for now, it's going to be us loving you and leaving you. Team Ireland and Team Norway both having a good showing here in this scrim, and they'll be looking to get some more confidence going forwards for plenty more, I'm sure, before those qualifiers at the end of May. But for now, it's goodbye from Rain.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me, as we will head off and we'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your evenings. Goodbye for now.